Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I am here. I'm just gonna focus on little Addie, who I'm holding, and I'll let her be the focal point while I chat. And I wanted to discuss something that a fellow collector reached out to me and asked for advice on, and I thought this is so applicable to all of us in the doll community. And it's what happens when our financial circumstances change. What happens when, it could have been a number of years that you've collected and you had the available funds to bring home dolls regularly. You had a good cash flow, but something has changed. Life circumstances have changed. And how do you go about adjusting? What do you do when suddenly you can't afford to continue to collect new dolls and may be forced to have to sell current dolls within your collection so that you can continue to obviously live, afford just non-hobby related expenses, so to speak? Like, what happens then? And this has happened to a lot of us over the years. It may be happening to you currently. I know it has happened to me a number of times where my financial circumstances have changed throughout my years of collecting, and it affected how I collected. It could have affected my enjoyment for, the hobby. And how did I handle it? What are tips, or what did you do to get past it or make the changes, all the while still collecting or still enjoying the dolls that you're able to keep? So I wanted to share some of the tips that I actually used and applied towards these situations in the past, because it's very stressful. First of all, our hobby is definitely, it is a luxury. Anything that we're able to buy and purchase for our dolls, including the dolls themselves, they're definitely a luxury item and not a necessary item or necessity. It's very difficult when something suddenly happens that now you are forced to evaluate, what can I keep and what do I have to sell in order to make my circumstances better financially. And whether it's we get to a certain age and we retire and we have to consider, we don't have a steady income like we did before, or it is much less than what we were used to. So that, of course, makes buying very difficult of new dolls. And because of the fact that you don't have those steady amount or the same amount of income, you're forced to kind of reevaluate what you have in your collection, and start potentially weeding out the things that you don't love. That's how I addressed it. So I have been a single parent for almost my whole entire children's lives, which was essentially for the last 26 years. Since my children were born, I became a single parent very, very quickly after that. And I managed to collect while being a single parent. So I learned how to be very frugal, very, very careful about the choices I make, very creative about being able to move funds around if necessary to potentially be able to afford bringing home a new doll, or, keeping the dolls that I had as my financial situation would change over time. So that being said, I also went through a period of time where I changed careers. Was it back in 2010, 2009, 2011, actually, I think is when I changed careers. And in order to change careers, I took a huge pay cut, which financially put me in a situation where I did have to sell quite a few dolls just to free up some funds in the interim of leaving a past job and then starting a new job at less money. And it was a big decision because I had to make some serious changes amongst my collection And luckily, the thing about our dolls and about this hobby is that it's almost like investment money. So the money we have invested, if we've made good choices and we have a decent collection, it's equitable. Meaning you can sell things in order to free up cash pretty quickly because, in our hobby, wanted dolls especially sell very quickly. Even dolls that may not be, a hot item at the time, they still sell relatively quickly. And if you're looking at, like, in comparison, some other hobbies where things may not sell off very quickly. So I think that dolls are a pretty good investment for the most part, because I was always able to, liquidate some of the things that I had, some of the dolls that I had, some of the accessories, doll clothes, baby furniture. I've always been able to, in a pinch, in a bind, especially when something might come up financially, like dog expenses for surgeries. I've just been recently through that. And that's how I approached it. I just looked at all the things I didn't need, didn't love, dolls that I didn't love and, could live without. And I parted with those things first to free up cash. And so once you get to that point and you've freed up all the funds that you can, and you're down to, oh gosh, do I have to make the hard decision of selling a doll that I love? And I approach it just as that. The most loved stayed the longest, and the ones that I was able to part with, I parted with, just to simplify things. It's probably what helped me pare down and get used to having less in my collection, to be honest with you. Because a lot of people are still wondering, how do you enjoy the hobby with so little dolls, so few dolls? You don't have a huge collection. How do you maintain that and stay happy? Well, I learned early on during these, financial strain times, or times when I needed to really buckle down. It changed my outlook of how I approach collecting and what I want and need in my collection, so to speak. It made me able to realize that I didn't need a ton of things to continue to be happy. And that's what I want to say to the person who reached out to me to ask for the advice. I want to say that, first of all, you don't need to have every doll you currently have in your collection long-term to remain happy in the hobby. I love how realistic she is, how sweet she is. She's so floppy. I want to reiterate that you can find happiness in the hobby even when your financial circumstances change. There are always going to be times where we have more money to spend in the hobby, and there's going to be times when we have less money to spend in the hobby, but it shouldn't alter your enjoyment. Even if you have to sell everything but one doll, even if you have to sell every doll, it's a temporary thing. And that's what you have to remember. It's always in flux. There's always change happening in the hobby. There's always going to be times where there's going to be ups and downs where you have money to spend, and then sometimes when you're on a spending freeze. I myself experience that because I have other life situations that make me have to spend less in my hobby or hobbies, if you have multiple like me. And just know that it's temporary. It's always temporary. Even when you have to say goodbye to a much loved doll, just know there's going to be another one that's going to be coming your way when the time is right and you have the funds for it. So try not to dwell on the fact that you don't have a doll, because there are times I've had 0 dolls, guys, 0 dolls, but I never left the hobby, even when I got rid of every single doll. I stayed in the hobby in those circumstances that made me have to sell the dolls. All the dolls that I had changed. They changed. There's always another day. And as time went on, I was able to save up money and yet again buy another loved doll. And then it grew from there. And then I had several dolls, and then I pared down to like 1 doll for a period of time. Like, circumstances always change. So try not to get stuck in the rut of thinking you're never going to be happy and how can I possibly stay in this hobby if I don't even have a doll. Listen, we're all going to get there someday where we're just not going to be able to have everything we have. And many of you out there probably have experienced those times where you had to sell things, doll items, that you really didn't want to, but it is life. And again, these baby dolls are not a necessity, but they are a luxury. So being able to have even one is a wonderful thing. So I've learned to settle on less is more. Enjoy what you have when you have it, because the circumstances for your situation can change at a moment's notice and without notice, okay? So, tomorrow something could change in my life and I may have to sell everything that I have, including every doll that I love, because I don't have a ton of dolls to sell. So knowing that, I try to enjoy every moment I have each doll for however long I have that doll. And I also focus on the little things. You've seen me recently just thoroughly enjoy the accessories, the props, the little things that may not cost us a lot, but they add such a huge amount of enjoyment to the hobby. So that way, one, I'm not spending excessively in order to enhance my hobby. So right now I have other expenses that have come up. I'd love to say I would like to bring home another doll soon, but I don't know if that will be the case financially for me, because we're going through renovations in our house. We have expenses that are applying to my dog. So there are just other life things going on that require my financial my financial wealth at the time. So right now, it's just not feasible that I would run out and buy a new doll of any kind, because I just have other things that will come first. And that's just life, right? That's life. It's what we all deal with. Look at this baby, you guys. I love her so much. That newborn shaped head. So while I have this baby, this is a good example. She's my most recent purchase. While I have her, I will enjoy every second with her. I will enjoy every second with you, Miss Addie. Yes. I love her. I do. I love all my dolls. I'm in a place where I love all my dolls. I wouldn't want to give any one of them up. But I also know, realistically, something could always occur that may force me to have to give one up, or more than one. But it's kind of how you approach the hobby, with a really good attitude. Like, even if I have to sell one or all of my dolls, I'll still stay in the hobby because I love it so much. It brings me so much joy, even to watch others bringing home new dolls when I can't. It still brings me joy. You have to find the joy in the other things, even if you yourself might not be able to afford bringing home a new doll. And know that eventually you will be able to bring home a new doll. And a lot of times that happens very unexpectedly. At least for me, it definitely does. It's how I found some of my best baby dolls that I love so, so much, like you. I stumble across them. And knowing that there's always going to be more dolls out there helps me kind of accept that I've had to part with some loved dolls over the years. Yeah, that's the great thing about our hobby, is there's always something new. There's always definitely dolls available out there for you to buy, even if you've, having to downsize, or the other thing is, you have to sell very high-end dolls and acquire something a little bit more inexpensive or more budget friendly in its place for a period of time. There's just always such a plethora of really great dolls to choose from that are a range of prices. So they can be way more affordable. Finding something on the secondary market that suits your budget better also is always out there. There's just always something out there for everybody. I really believe that. So don't get discouraged. All that to say, there are ways to liquidate the collection you currently have to help fund whatever circumstances that may come up, because all of us deal with financial circumstances that are not planned for. And we don't always have quick money, quick funds. So we have to liquidate, some of our collection or all of our collection. And just know that there's always going to be more dolls to be purchased. And if you keep a really good attitude and you kind of stay within the hobby and you still enjoy the hobby, even if it's from, you know, being a spectator versus someone that actually has dolls from time to time, that's okay. That's okay. And just know we've all been there. And if you haven't been there, you may be there in the future. So there's no judgment on anybody that may have to be selling their collection due to financial unforeseen circumstances. Just know most of us, if not all of us, have been there from time to time and had to make really tough choices. But again, it's temporary. It's always temporary. And in the future, even if you're having to sell everything right now, in the future, you probably will bring back just as much or more. So that being said, I hope that answers your question to the person that was asked this. Again, like I am a steadfast doll collector. I am through and through going to stay in this hobby. Even if I don't have any dolls to collect at some point in time, I probably will still never leave the hobby. You know, it's just ingrained in me. It's just part of my everyday enjoyment. And I think it enhances my life greatly to have the dolls that I have. And I'm just gonna continue to enjoy every level of the hobby that I can for as long as I can. But right now I'm really enjoying the dolls that I have. I feel very fortunate that I have found them and that they bring me so much happiness. This baby especially, they're all special, but like the newbornness that this baby is just phenomenal. She is just the sweetest thing. I love her so much, you guys. And I guess it's probably not the best shot, but my sweet little Addie. She's a gorgeous girl. She's a gorgeous girl, and I love her. I tend not to carry babies in this way when I don't have sleeves, because I don't want my skin and oil from my skin or from my lotions to touch the paintwork. I'm always very cautious of that, but they're really enjoying you. So anyways, guys, hopefully if anybody out there is going through that, other than the person I'm addressing directly, if you're going through it, just know that you're in good company, because most of us have been there. And hopefully the advice helps someone. But remember that even if you don't have dolls, the community is also what we're here for. The doll community is wonderful. We're supportive because we've all been through it a time or two. And hopefully it'll pass quickly for anybody that is going through it, and that you're able to continue to enjoy and collect wonderful, beautiful little babies that bring you all the joy. So that being said, guys, I hope you're all having a great Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, thank goodness. I'm hoping the weekend comes fast, and I hope the weather stays somewhat cooler for me, and hopefully elsewhere you're having beautiful weather wherever you're at. So that's it for us today. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.